Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. And I was a little worried about going out today after this week and last week. It seems like anytime I went out, there was some kind of drama. You know, it could just be, it could be easy to just go somewhere, do the business, and go home. I've had that in my life. You know, you just go to the store, you get what you need, and you go home. No drama, no drama. Not anymore. Not where I live, not in my life, not what I've seen lately. It's even, you know, it's not just going out somewhere. Making a phone call yesterday. Well, my voice is sounding like really loud. But making a phone call. Yesterday, the day before, same person. Rude as can be, and she is a gatekeeper at a doctor's office, a specialist, a foot podiatrist even. And she's a gatekeeper. You know, she's the person you make the phone call to that place, and she's the one who answers. Rude. I mean, what am I going to say? Well, let me speak to your manager. Yeah, like she would. Yeah, and then these days, those people who are slackers or smart aleck or whatever, they want to call you a Karen. That was not what Karen was originally about. Because how dare you talk to their manager? They don't want to get people to do that, to think they can talk to managers and complain. Because, you know, they're slackers. Or they just thought it was cool that somebody else did it, or they know that they could make money off of it. Sickening people, in my view. There's a limb in the road over there. Huh. Why my accent's so loud? I mean, so strong. My goodness. I'm just irritated. Oh my goodness. Of just what happened. What just happened? Okay, I need to try to reorganize my brain here. What's going on here? Well, this is what it was. I had these really bad, you know, I've been saying this for years though. You know, really bad situations where I live now, the city suburb of Dallas. But it has a reputation. Okay, you didn't hear me just say a few choice words at a driver. But anyway, oh my, ran right out in front of me. Illegally. They on the road, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, oh my gosh. I'm telling you, just go into the store. There could be no drama. There really could be situations. I've had them in my life. But not already, not so far. Anyway, so this past week, the woman that was really rude, all this stuff, you know, wasn't just on the phone, it wasn't just going out, and I was saying, I'm going to stay at home, and I'm not going to call any place, I'm not going to do anything. Yeah, becoming conflict avoidant or something. I've been saying it for years, though, okay? Because it is that way. It is that way. And anyway, so, I was sitting there, and, you know, I'd just gone to take a nap, because, you know, I'm not in the best health, you know, and I'm having to work, build up my stamina. I start back on physical therapy next week, and today's Friday. I start back next week. I'm so happy about that. Hopefully it goes on without any drama, like the last time. The woman, little bitty tiny woman, I mean, half my size, come up to me. She goes, "I'm gonna make this hard on you." She did twice. She's like half my size. You're gonna what? You're gonna what? Probably less than half my age. Oh my gosh, what some people. But anyway, so I went back to another one I had. She was not bad. Okay, well, she wasn't great, but she wasn't bad. She wasn't like that. Anyway, so I was, you know, I went to lay down in the bed for a little bit and just relax a little bit. And instead, I heard a knock on the door. The door's right where I am, right next to it, on the front door. I mean, I have to get up off the bed and walk over there. And I was getting up, and I heard Adam go to the door. You know, he's older than I, and he knows how many times have we talked about this. I don't know. I mean, he knows it's never a good idea just to open the door in our neighborhood. Because what it's going to be is somebody trying to sell some bull BS. some crap, bull crap, there you go. They're gonna, it's not BS, but bull crap. Just sell And they're not really selling anything. That's the thing. We learned that during 2020. And during 2020, I told him, don't answer the door. But it's like he just has to. You know, we don't have a peephole on it. We have a window. So then just look out the window, see who it is. No, it's like he is determined he's going to open that door no matter what. So he opened the door, and I was still in that room, and I heard him tell the guy, you didn't read the sign? He said, and the guy said, yeah, and it sounded like a woman to me. He said, I read it. And Adam said, so, but you still knocked on the door? And the guy, you know, turned out to be a guy, said, well, I thought that was like meant for some other people. It says no trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted at the full extent of the law. Something like that. Okay. Well, I'm sitting in that room and I'm hearing this. And Adam said, it means no. Here, you do not walk on. Get off my property. Adam was livid. Okay. So I didn't know. I thought it was a woman, like I said. And it doesn't matter. Woman, man, it didn't matter. And until this. And I said, the police are on their way. There were no police on the way. But, I mean, it actually says, no, that one doesn't say that. But we had to do that because people will come by and say, your next door neighbor said that you wanted to have this done on your house or that done on your house. The next door neighbors didn't say that. It's just the way they do it. They lie, you know, just lie. And most of the times, they don't even work for anybody. Like, they'll have an emblem on their shirt, you know, whether the business is. There is no such thing. There is no such place. They're just trying to get money for you. Got it. Exactly. And no, we're not stupid. So, anyway, you know, there's no sin. And I've had years of talking about people who came to the door during 2020 and they just stood there banging on the door. Okay. You know, and then like I've opened up, when Adam opened the door and something happened, I said something, and then we shut the door and they're still out there talking, you know, yelling what they're trying to get money for, yelling. You tell them to get off your property, they just stay there because they own it. And like the last election, Adam said it. The last time he voted was a couple months or so ago, you know, for a local thing. But anyway, I think it was a local thing, and there were people, we saw them in the neighborhood. They were out going door to door. Oh, ours is smart. No trespassing. And the guy, I was sitting out in my SUV. I think I had just driven up, and I'm sitting out in my SUV. He walks by me, doesn't see me. It could be I was making a video, which I usually do in my driveway. And he just walks past me, doesn't see me. And the door is right in front of me, and I see what he does. He was a little guy that, you know, with long hair, looked kind of hippie-ish, like a hippie. And he read the sign that says no trespassing, you know, violators, you know, private property violators will be prosecuted, this kind of stuff. And he read it, and it's a big sign. It's not a little bitty one. It's not huge, but it's there. And he read it and he shrugged his shoulders. Literally shrugged his shoulders like it doesn't matter, and knocked on the door. Whoo, I honked. I was sitting right behind him, scared him, maybe. I said, what are you doing? And I said, didn't you read that? Or, you know, something like this. The conversation went something like that. And he said, well, what I'm doing is I said, I don't care what you're doing. I don't think I literally wanted to know what he was doing. I said, get off my property now. And he turned around, shrugged his shoulders again, and slowly walked off our property. I mean, some people these days are just downright cheeky, man, cheeky. Like that woman that was my age. She had the accent of people like where I grew up. like me, okay? And not here. I live in Texas. I'm born and raised in Texas, but a different part of Texas. And there's a different accent, okay? And mine is not as deep as that. It's back to when I was growing up, because I've lived in so many places as an adult. I got married when I was 18 and moved, got the heck out of Dodge, and just kept on going. So for like 20 years, we did a lot of traveling, a lot of moving, different states and stuff like that. It was wonderful. But anyway, so I've got accents from different states now. But anyway, she was just a woman on the phone, the gatekeeper, so rude, unbelievable. And I was thinking about this, and I'm watching this show on Netflix called Shrill. It's a woman who's overweight, and she's talking about it. It's a series. I just now started watching it yesterday, and they're young, so that part, I don't know what it's like to be young and overweight. I know what it's like to be at this point because of my rare health condition, reared its ugly head back in 2023, and I put on 48 pounds, and just recently I was taking a medication. Finally, I've had this rare health condition since I was a child. Just in March on St. Patrick's Day, I started taking it, and I had to get off of it because it almost killed me. But it put on 25 extra pounds, and anyway, of course, all this made me obese, classified as obese. And before that, I was just overweight. There's a difference between being overweight and obese. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, I remember when I didn't know that. We all have to learn sometime. On something, we don't always know it. We're not raised with everything in our head. We're not born with everything in our head, all that knowledge. But anyway, so I'm watching this show Shrill, and the interesting thing is how I am dealing with, what I'm seeing is, and hearing really, is women who seem to understand to find their voice, but they're taking it extremely literal, which in part it is, to find their voice, to use it, to be heard, to speak loud, to speak clearly. But there's more to it than just that, to find your voice. For one thing, it's not to find your voice so you'll talk over other women because you think your voice is the one that's supposed to be heard and not the other person's. And I'm noticing a lot of that. That's nothing new, but it's increasing. I've noticed it a lot more these days. That's not empowerment when you have to try to take somebody else down and step on them to make yourself higher. No, that is not empowerment. I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I did a lot of studying. Period, over 20 years. But I did study also feminist theory, and I actually wrote a really good paper on how it is for young women. I was asked to publish it, and I stupidly didn't. I didn't want to at that time, just did not want to. But how it is whenever when they realize that the world is no longer their oyster. Okay, when they're young and they're pretty, when the world is their oyster, but then when they're not. I wrote a really good paper on that. Okay, I had another clip there, but I deleted it because there were two kids on two separate scooters. It's the year of the scooters. That's the third one I've seen in the last, couple days or so. The other one, that had two boys on one of them, and they were having so much fun. They were young boys, electric scooters, and there were just two here. And they got in my video, and I don't put other people's kids in my videos. I don't put anybody's kids in my videos. So I need to go to this pharmacy. But so where did I leave off? I don't know. Just about empowerment. I have studied empowerment. I have written about it. I was at university. I learned a lot there about it. And that is not it. It's to, like this woman, like I said, she was my age, and she told me. I called the first day because I had a referral, and then to another one. They said that they don't take my insurance, so I had to go to my PCP again to get another one, and there was a whole big old problem picking it up and everything. And then with the second one, they told me to go and call my insurance company and find out who is in network. And then this is why I left them. I remember this is why I left them the last time, because the patients don't have a job, but they were making me do the work. I worked, I was a career student at university with undergraduate and graduates over 20 years, and some of the work that I did part-time was to work for doing things like interim office management for surgeons and interim office management. You were taught to do your job. The patient doesn't have a job. Okay, but no, they don't. And my insurance company, not this time, but the time before, said, no, that's not how it works. The doctor's office calls us. No, they once again told me to call. So I got that. Got the address from the, this is important, from the insurance company. Address, phone number, not the fax, but the phone number. And I waited, and I never got a call from them. And I called them a couple of days ago, not yesterday, day before, but I was quickly, the woman was, like I said, my age, sounded like the same accent I grew up with, and she quickly told me, I'm not going to talk to you because I don't have, if they haven't faxed me, my doctor's office hasn't faxed them a referral. And I said, well, I got it last week. And I said, I have the referral. She said, just call them and tell them to fax me. Why can't she call them and tell them? If they want a customer, a patient, I'm going to be paying them. She should do her job. She's busy with another customer right now. But, okay, that's making the patient do a job. The patient doesn't work for the insurance company. The patient doesn't work for the doctor's office. The people who are employed by the doctor would be doing stuff like this. People have a job. Okay, the patient is the one paying for employing a service of the doctor. They should not be doing any of the work, period. But you have to watch these kinds of things, because then they'll, just like, you go to a grocery store and you check out yourself. These grocery stores try making it totally that way. They're going to have as much people working for them without paying them as they can. And I do see that, and I'm not going to change my mind on that. Okay? I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I spent over 20 years, undergraduate and graduate school, learning what I know, because I really wanted to know what I know. You think specialist, like a specialist. And physical medical, they go 16 years. I went over 20. Okay, over 20. And back then, you could be classified as a social psychologist. They don't do that anymore. Not the same way as they did back then. Anyway, where was I? But okay, this woman, the woman that was at the doctor's office, the gatekeeper. Boy, they're busy. Okay. And this woman must have some really bad problem going on. But anyway, so where am I? So I called the next day. The woman at the first one, she said, "I'm gonna get you taken care of, honey. Don't you worry." Somebody my age calling me honey. It was a woman. When I was younger, that really, really bothered me. It was kind of funny. She had gotten off the phone with that and was calling me. I didn't see her switch over. It was pretty funny. But anyway, we got it all figured out. Okay, so I'm not sure which way I want to go home from here. So I know when I get down to this area, it's a little bit different. The way to get there. I'll do it anyway. Okay. So anyway, where was I in the whole thing? It took a little bit. And I just, once again, pretty much confirmed that one of the things that doctor, the last doctor I saw, had lied to me. Had flat out lied to me. It was not used car salesman type. That's what I told Adam. It makes me think of a used car salesman. Anyway, move on. Back to this. The gatekeeper. So, I called my doctor's office, and the doctor's office said that they get the. She goes, "I'll take care of you, honey. I'll get the nurse and have her call you right away." I said, "Well, why don't not call me, but just go ahead and fax them. Have her fax it directly to this phone number." And I gave her the fax number because that woman, when I talked to her, she gave me a fax number. Okay, I think she lied to me both times. And the gatekeeper at the podiatrist's office that I was trying to make an appointment with and have the referral sent to her. She gave me the right number to fax it to, not that. I think she lied and said, first time she said she never received it, and the second time she hadn't received it. She was lying, fairly certain. And people just lie so easily these days. Not everybody, but those who do, it just stands out. Anyway, so I called the doctor's office. Nurse never called me, so I figured, hey, they faxed it. So I called that doctor, the gatekeeper, again. Didn't know she was going to be the gatekeeper, but my doctor's office had originally, the woman there, she said, "That's weird. They said they called this woman," and they said her name, and that there was a note on there, my doctor's office, PCPs, and the woman was going to say, "Hey, honey, I'll take care of you." And anyway, she said who she spoke to, and that they told her that there was no doctor at that office. Okay, now this woman is one who's knowing what's going on, and she's lying to me, and she's lying to my doctor's office, because she told them that there's no doctor there with that name. I want to sit still for a minute, but or more than a minute. But I think she's just weird. Okay, this is a weird person. How else am I going to describe her? And so anyway, so she had told my doctor's office when they called, and it was her. She confirmed that was her name. She goes, "I'm that person. That's me." So smart aleck, so rough. I mean, just rough. And smart aleck. Everything she did. The first time I called, the second, just oof. And I mean, like she was biting at the bit. How else do they say it? Chomping at the bit. Just to be mean as she could at anything. Ugh. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on this planet for people to take their problems out on me. Period. Full stop. Empowering yourself is knowing that and not letting them. Full stop. Anyway, not doing what she's doing. Okay, not doing what she's doing. And that's why this is an example. And so anyway, so I called back yesterday, the next day, thinking that my doctor's office did just fax it over to her. And I called, and the same woman answered. And I told her, and she said, "What's the name?" And I said, the name. She said, "No, I've not ever received anything." I said, "Well, and I said, well, they said they sent it, and they said that they spoke to someone." At some point I said, "Tammy," because she kept being rude. Okay, and I said, I just said her name, and I didn't want to. I said, "Tammy." And she said, "That's me." Just, you know what I'm saying? Just, that you don't have to speak to someone that way. Okay? And anyway, she said that this doctor is no longer at that office. He is in Dallas office, and but she had told them that he is not that he is in this office and not in Dallas. I said, "Well, of course he's not in Dallas. He's in this other city, the suburb of Dallas. Watch me say it anyway. And, you know, and I said that even my doctor's office, I said, this is what the corporate office referral line has told me is their street address, this doctor's street address, and his phone number. I said, and that's what y'all put on the referral with the correct fax number, because I had verified it. And so it wasn't making sense. So, while I was talking to her, I told her that, and she says, no, he works in, the Dallas office, and doesn't work here in the suburb of Dallas. I said, well, you need to get that straight with the insurance company. That has nothing to do with me, but this is what they told me. She said, no, you need to learn that I don't have to do anything. I'm not calling them. I said, what do you think? I said, oh, well, it has nothing to do with me. No, she goes, no, you need to learn. I mean, I said, you need to learn. No, I don't think I said it quite that way. I said, it has nothing to do with me. I said, so what doctors do you have there? And she started saying, I said, you know what? No, thank you. I wouldn't want to go to that office with someone like you talking to me like this, working there. So forget it. And I hung up. Now, that's not being mean. That's flat out telling her, you lost that doctor. And I think I put it that way, just like that other woman that time that lost her doctor, a patient. I was already a patient, but she spoke to me so rudely. And that was the other podiatrist, the one I'm changing from. Okay, you see. And this one, well, what in podiatry is they just have rude people. See, that's the wrong way to make a connection. Generalize like that just because you have two experiences, one experience. Don't generalize and say, oh, they're all like that. But it's a weird coincidence, true. That one of them, wow. And then the next one, wow. But no, I let her know that I would not be a patient for that doctor because of her. And she is the gatekeeper. Now imagine that what she was telling me was that she doesn't have to. She should know that I'm telling her, and I told her, I said, I'm telling you this is the address, and that he probably has the wrong address. Well, he does have the wrong address with the insurance company, and he has the wrong address where he is, because she said he's not been at that office for 2 years. I said, so you need to have that fixed with the insurance company, because I did contracts for one point. I think it was just one or maybe when I was doing interim office management. So, and they have to have the correct address. I mean, come on, you have to have the correct address. You got a contract, you're a doctor, you have to have the correct address on there. But she said, you need to learn. Yeah. So that has nothing to do with me. I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with me at all. Well, no, you need to learn. So what are you going to do? Well, just what I did. Say, you lost that doctor or patient. I would not go there for anything to wind up with run across somebody like you that's working for him. Period. Now, I'm not trying to tear her down. I'm trying to tell her what she did. Now, empowerment, she may have thought she was empowering herself by speaking her, telling me that I need to learn from her. No, that is not empowerment. No, if you have to, like I said, if you have to step on somebody or attempt to build yourself up, that's not empowerment. That's abuse. In that case, verbal abuse. Seriously. Social and behavioral scientist, career student over 20 years, taught at college and university. That's verbal abuse. Period. And just for the record, I had worked at a place where years ago, when I was a career student, and one of them, the woman that was the office manager, she was doing this thing of she'd hire people for only 89 days. Just 89 days. And she would fire them. She'd find some way of saying that, I did not know this one, of course, I did not know it, but she'd find some way of saying that they weren't doing their job. And this way, she looked good, because this is what I was told by her friend that worked there. That she looked good because she was not letting anybody get their benefits, because it was 90 days you got your benefits, including insurance, health insurance. And this was a doctor. This was a surgeon's office. And he asked me, he found out, what my degrees was. He goes, I can't figure out what's going on. Why nobody wants to work and stay working here. I found out what was going on because she tried it with me. And she was my younger sister's friend. Okay, the woman, she was messed up. And she spoke, people would think she was a really nice person, all this stuff, that she was really together. She was really smart, this, kind of that. She was a good office manager. No, she was so messed up. On the surface, she could fake it. But she was messed up. I mean, her husband did her wrong really bad one time. And I'm not talking just the cheating thing. No, it was worse than that. Anyway, so she took it out on women. Okay, she took her anger out on women. Anyway, there was a slow-moving, you saw it, truck. That's why I wasn't even going the speed limit. But anyway, she that's what I found out. And now I couldn't tell him this is what it was, because she was the gatekeeper. I didn't have his personal phone number, with people with cell phones and all that. I mean, that was, I don't know if he would have had a landline back then or not, but I had no way of contacting him and letting him know. Okay, she's the gatekeeper. She also was the one that would get the mail. And one of the women that was working there, she had just started working there when I did, but she was the front desk, and I wasn't. But me and her sat across in a different room, but we could see one another. And she was friendly to me, but she came back the day that she got fired, and I didn't know that she was fired. And she popped her head in real quick, and she told me herself what had happened real fast, and ran back out the door. This is what, and she had I think it was a son, a young son. She was a single mom, and this woman did it to her. I mean, some of these people, they have no remorse, guilt, shame. That was how I was taught moons ago, that a psychopath, that they have no remorse, guilt, shame, or shame. They have absolutely no problem doing stuff like that. And worse, a lot worse, as we all know. But they don't feel it. And but I had to cut off some more. It was a kid. Didn't look like a kid, but at first. But anyway, come on. I want to turn around here. Hopefully I can, without any problem. So, yeah. Oh, all of a sudden somebody turned real fast. Wow. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Not that close. Anyway, that is not women empowering women. What she did was to get this other woman, and the one that was the office manager got another woman that worked there she was tall, big, strong. She did some special kind of thing that involved being tall, big, strong, and threatened them. She did the same thing to me. Felt no remorse, guilt, shame, nothing. You could see she felt nothing. Neither one of them. Total, like, poker face, that blank stare, the whatever you want to call it, psychopathic stare. Felt nothing. There was no feeling there. They're going to do whatever they do to keep their money, to keep their position. They don't care about you. And she didn't have to do that. She did not have to fire women. the doctor to ask me, what's going on here? Why? I had just started working there. I didn't know, And there was a gatekeeper, so that's not women empowering women at all. And that's what some of these women that I'm talking to, they seem to believe that whenever they're working in a, doctor's office, and there are the people who answer the phone, that they can treat the person, a woman. I don't know about men. I'm only one thing, a woman, and always have been, always will be female. And so I only know what it's like to be female and treated like I can talk over you. I can, the doctor that told me that I only get to speak in one word sentences. He had just met me. He was Adam's doctor for like 20-something years, and he said he grew up in a country across the globe, right next to one Adam grew up, and that there, he didn't tell me this part, Adam did, that there they treat women, where this guy grew up, this doctor, it's basically that. The women have to be, the man is what's important, the woman, these countries that Adam grew up with, the countries on that side, some of them, not all of them, they treat women really poorly. Like women are only worth that half as much as men worth. They are property of men. You can't have that, even if it is their religion and their culture. Here in the United States, it's slavery, and it's against the law. Even though there's separation of church and state, you cannot state that a woman is not equal to a man. Okay, you can't force them to be your property. They're not going to be your property, ever. You can't treat them like a slave, like they're a property, that they're owned. But it happens. We know this. We know that some people from different countries, different religions, they'll still practice whatever they do. Some of the women take pride in it in some ways, and that's not empowering women. Especially when those same women will tell women here that were born and raised here like me. I'm not saying any particular ethnic group, but the women who were born and raised here in the United States, they need to realize that they're supposed to be subservient to men. Am I getting that word right? But it's been a long time since I've used it. But that they have to mind men. Well, this new doctor that I'm just now fired, I went to a couple of days, well, what was it, 2 or 3 days ago? Adam told me, I said, if you were to guess, what country is he from? And Adam said the same as my doctor. And Adam didn't meet the one in between. He was also from that same country. The one that walked into the room and said, hello. He greeted himself. First time I meet him, greeted himself. And he said, something like, and I'm seeing you for what today? And I started to answer, I'm here for, and he cut me off. And then he said, well, what? And then he cut me off. I would say maybe two words, cut me off. He was letting me know that I have a couple of words I can speak. Okay, so all three men from the same country, not Adam, not the same as Adam, but it was next to it. And they did the same thing. Let me know. I don't get to speak. This last one, his thing was, he got livid because I did speak a lot. And I have not stopped talking. Man, I've not stopped talking when I go to doctor's offices. I will sit there, and they're going to have to insult me in order to get me to shut up. No, being told that I can only speak in one word answer, and I've always been more of a quiet type. Okay, it's just how I always had been. I see no reason to stand out and everything. And that's not using my voices. I never saw any reason for it until I was told that I can only speak in one word sentences. And that one, you could say quite literally, I found my voice. I've always had my voice. I always spoke out against these problems ever since I can remember. Okay, it wasn't just when I was a student. It was even before then when I was younger. When I was in high school, I think it started in 9th grade. I got in the debate club and in high school and in Texas. And we had some kind of a, I think it was actually in Huntsville, Texas. And my friends, we all kind of joined clubs so we could go on all these trips and everything. But debate club was something I was really interested in. Them, not so much. And I learned a lot. We go to seminars and such, and I think, like I said, I think it was Huntsville, Texas. And I'm not from there. You know, we had to travel, go, stay in a hotel. That's what we were liking. But I really liked debate. And the teacher was also the football or whatever coach. And he went, you know, he was with us, of course, you know, chaperone me, my friends, other people that were on this. Anyway, one of the things I was taught there was that females weren't allowed to debate. This was in the late 1970s, or I think it was late 1970s, and or maybe early 80s. I don't know. But I asked him. I graduated when I was 17, so anyway, I asked him, the coach, and he said, "That's just how it is." Okay, he was not meant to be a debate team coach. He was a coach for football, but he was not meant to be a debate team, whatever they call them, chaperone or person, whatever, the teacher over it. If his answer was, "That's just how it is," that kind of thing, that kind of answer, that was just how it is. But yeah, we weren't allowed to speak at a debate. And I wanted to debate it. Why? Nope, gotta shut up. Because that's just how it is. I think that was around the time, or shortly after, when what's her name? Ann Richards? Yeah. Became, what was it, governor or whatever, of Texas. The best one we have ever had. She had definitely found her voice, and she knew how to use it. I was young then. I didn't really pay all much attention to it. I'm an independent, so it's not about sides to me. It's about each issue. I look at it my way. Nobody tells me how to think. That's also empowerment. Not when you're picking a side, but when they're telling you how to think, but you're thinking for yourself. Empowerment. Wrapping it up.